Hello and welcome back to Cultist Simulator with me, Barden. Right. Yeah, Rose is back and why are we gonna know it, right? I think we've got to go and get ourselves back into our regular day job for a while. We have a low profile because Rose has really stirred things up. There's some contentment there. He's about to find that notoriety. Actually, maybe not. I'm safe for now. My adversary has not enough evidence to bring a case against me. They found no new clues. So interesting. So Rose, through Leo, has put some information out there, but for whatever reason it hasn't got to the detective. Maybe the people that Leo was speaking to from the parish council, maybe a couple of them have secretly changed sides and didn't want to pass it on for whatever reason, but still didn't just want to bury it. So still out there to be found, but they're not going to be the ones to pass it on. But if the detective discovers it, well, hey ho, right? So not necessarily dedicated to us, I don't feel. We're actually going to go back in our sermons. Now Rose is back, kind of heads a bit all over the place really with things, and we're going to go for some moth lore. And moth is another passion, so we're going to stick the old passion in there. Start that. But yeah, things have moved on since Rose is a major part of the cult before. And now we're kind of conflicted about our loyalty to her as the one who started the cult with us. You know, she's been missing for so long. When she came back, she first of all thought that we had the same dynamic and quickly realized that wasn't true. But we still feel loyalty to her. So we can't just push her aside. And we know how Rose is. We've seen her. We've been on her side of things when someone has crossed her. We've seen how she deals with those people, and don't really want to be on her bad side. So we're going to try and keep her sweet. But kind of thinking then, so who's the next person in the cult? Is it going to be Elridge? An elegant man of inelegant habits. That's certainly who Rhaenyra and Saliba are putting forward, saying, listen, you know, you guys are doing your thing, and that's fine. We're not going to stop you doing that, but you guys have not been as much fun lately. Especially you, Father Ted, and we kind of need... It'd be nice to have more than just the two of us. And with that in mind, we'd like to bring Elridge into the fold. And we tell him we'll think about it. We're not too sure. And Clovette comes to see us. Says she doesn't think it's a great idea that we let Elridge into the circle. And Claire comes separately as well. It's just the same thing. Neville doesn't say anything to us. He kind of waits for us to broach the subject, but we don't really want to talk about it because we're still not sure where things stand with Rose. And then Rhaenyra comes to us again and asks us if we've made a decision. And we're still conflicted, and we're talking to her about it. And Rose walks in, apparently not knowing we were meeting, but knowing Rose's personality, she probably did know, and her accidentally coming into the meeting was probably very well planned. And when she comes in, at first she says, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you guys. I just needed to get something for Leo." And comes in. She spends an unordinate amount of time looking for whatever it is. Probably nothing, just a pretense to be in the room. Rhaenyra sitting there frustrated, but holding her tongue, but only holds it for a little while. And then maybe blows up a little bit at Rose. Just listen, we're having a private conversation here. You know, can you give us a minute? Can you look for wherever it is later? And Rose says, "Well, I'm one of the founding members of this cult. I was here before you. And I don't like this whole thing of people having their own little conversations here and there. Everything should be out in the open. And we should make decisions as a group, not the way, you know, with little groups here and there doing things." Even though Rose is probably going to be one of the main manipulators, she knows as part of that manipulation that at any time she can, if it suits her, she can lobby for us to be democratic. And she knows there's some people who maybe aren't as unprincipled as her. Once we've agreed that, we'll probably stick to that. But that won't stop her. She'll still have those little conversations with people and sway them around. But she's hoping that those who would maybe act against her will do it a little bit less. So Rhaenyra spills the beans. Says, myself and Saliba want Elridge to join the group. And we don't see a problem with that, but apparently Father Ted here still hasn't made a decision on it. And we don't see why, because all of these people have been let in pretty easily. But for some reason Elridge is now an issue. That doesn't sit well with us. So that's what I wanted to talk to him about. And Rosa turns to us and says, "I don't see an issue with him. He seems as dedicated as anyone else. And he's been here long enough. It's his turn to join the circle." And with that, Rhaenyra, who at that point was giving some very negative and defensive body language towards Rosa, relaxes, sees that Rosa is at least willing to back her up on this. And then Rosa turns around with her back to us, and a smile creeps across her face, because now she feels like Rhaenyra owes her one, and at some point she's going to call it in. And after Rosa's left, reluctantly, we agree that it's probably time to let Elridge in to the cult. So we gather our trappings. Where's our fervor? Wait, where is a fervor? Oh, we don't have fervor yet, so we're gonna have to go generate the fervor. But yeah, let's go generate the fervor for that. And passion. Here we go. No, wait. Are you passion? Your reason. Okay. Pop the reason in there. Yeah, and we got that going. So it's been decided that Elridge will be the next person to join the cult. We haven't told the others yet. We're going to wait until the ceremony, or close to the ceremony, because we know that Clovette and Eau Claire will not be happy with it. We also know that by the time the ceremony has been set up, and I imagine that Eau Claire is going to be one of the ones who does a lot of the work for her, with Neville assisting her to get ready. But not knowing who it's going to be for, she'll do as good a job as she always does. But by the time then that we reveal who the person is, it's going to be too late for her to object. And that's kind of what we're banking on here. But at the same time, we feel, again, we have that conflict with Rosa, where we still have that lingering feelings from when it was just the two of us, that we feel like because of that she should always have her back, even though we kind of got swept away with things and didn't acknowledge her for the longest time. We feel like, yeah, maybe things are back as they were, but we can't help but feel that she maybe manipulated us just a little bit in this whole incident. But we're maybe a little bit too naive at the moment, and yeah, we're just gonna assume that she's gonna have our back when we need her to. She's got another restless there, so we're gonna have 2 dread at some point. The glory demands truth. When we are clad in truth, it shall not burn us. Okay, so we have our fervor now. And then, oops, again the wrong one, that has to be talk. The evening arrives. All of the accoutrements and candles and wherever else are laid out for the ceremony. Our little group is there. And this, I think, is a time when we realize that at the moment we are conducting these ceremonies in a little room behind the, like, it's a little room behind the altar. And it's kind of the first time to realize how cramped it is in here. And we're probably going to have to move it to somewhere else. Maybe even out into, either into the church itself, or maybe one of the side wings to the church, where we could maybe perform our ceremonies and not be overlooked as much. But we'll think on that anon. But everybody's sat in the room, ready to go, holding their candles. And in walks Elridge. And Rhaenyra and Saliba greet him. No surprise on their faces. Eau Claire and Clovette, not that happy. They thought the matter was settled. They thought that with their group with Neville's backing, that they'd put to rest the idea that he was going to be in the circle. And then Clovette starts to think about Rosa and how Rosa must have been the one to do it, because Leo is new to the inner circle and he's not as forceful as either Rhaenyra or Rose, so she's kind of gonna keep an eye on her from now on. But the ceremony goes on. And we welcome Elridge to this next level of the cult. And again, things within the cult shift. Rhaenyra and Saliba have their extra playmate. Elridge has almost learnt not to pick his teeth with his knife in conversation. He's not yet learned to leave his knife in his boot. But that's the thing about Elridge, is while Rhaenyra and Saliba are maybe going to be happy just to indulge, Elridge is a little bit more dangerous. And now everyone has to watch your back. The congregation have donated generously, and they haven't limited those donations to the collection plate. So yeah, Elridge will indulge with Rhaenyra and Saliba, but he'll remember as well that Rose apparently had some hand in making sure that he was in this little group. And who knows, in the future, if he has to make a choice between Rhaenyra and Rose, who he's going to pick. And one thing is for sure, is that if he needs to stab someone, or take care of someone with his knife, he'll be willing to. It's just a case of whose back that dagger is going to end up in. And now we are back to preaching. Or maybe not, because he is about to finally find some notoriety. So maybe, yeah, we're thinking of preaching. But then I think ceremony ends. Elridge, Rhaenyra and Saliba take some of the communion wine that was left over. They head off into a room together. Rosa tells him that she'll join him in a while. She heads off with Leo. And then, as we're leaving, Claire blocks away. And the three remaining, Clovette, Neville, and Claire, want to have a word with us. And they make it very clear that they're not pleased with what's going on. That with Elridge there, they've heard stories about him. About how he's willing to do things not just in dedication to the cult, but just for his own pleasure. That one or two bodies have turned up and nobody's pinned it on him, but They know what's going on. And they've kind of put, let's say they put Father Ted on notice, say, listen, for now, there's a little bit of heat around. Eldridge there, you can be sure that whoever's been dogging your steps and looking for evidence against you is gonna be looking a bit closer now. So, listen, you need to give the sermons a rest for a while. Maybe let one of us do it. But once it's all blown over, we get to propose who the next person is. Don't care about majorities. This is a case of there's 3 of us, and if we need to, we'll go speak to the detective. But we don't want it to come to that. So, next time we propose someone, you approve them, no discussion. And Father Ted leaves the room, brushes past them, doesn't give them an answer, but they know they've got their answer. Father Ted's going to do what they want. Next morning then, bit of a headache on us from the celebration after the rite last night. Not really celebration for us though. It's kind of more drowning our sorrows, where we got this cult going, but we don't really feel in control. That all of these people that we saw as being so close to us now realize that they've all got their own agendas, and without anything really, without us giving them anything to keep them busy, all this stuff is going to keep happening. And we've heard that the detective has evidence as well. I'm kind of getting a little bit worried about that. But the main thing we realise is that we're going to have to soon send these guys out, whether they're ready or not, because otherwise the cult is going to tear itself apart. So either before or after the new member joins, probably going to have to send them somewhere and see how it goes. And maybe, just maybe, being in that environment and having to get through it and rely on each other will form bonds between them that nothing else that we've done so far has been able to do. But we're not sure. We hope it'll work. We also know some of the personalities involved. You also know that picking who are the leaders of the expedition is going to be interesting, because that in itself is going to cause problems as well. But a little bit of a plan is maybe beginning to form in Father Ted's mind of what can maybe be done to shake these guys up and Get them working for the cult and not for themselves. But we'll see what happens. Got a potential third dread coming there. I guess us promoted back up to the level we were at before. 10 minutes to wait to get rid of that. I'm going to take this. Many of the dead enter the mansions through the white door. They wander its corridors in silence until they are lost. Some embrace each other, some devour each other, some force their way into the dreams of the living. A few record their memories on the mansion's stone where it is soft. They scratch it with their nails, you see. Last night I read one of those memories. Collect that. Got our passion there. We're now going to combine both of those. And I'm going to try. So everything is going on. One thing is kind of shone at us over all this turmoil that's happening. Is that the lantern lore that we worked on, the one that at that time when we kind of had that real high in elation and felt like, you know, things are starting to come together before all this shit happened with the infighting and stuff and the backbiting. And we kind of go back to that and think, yeah, let's try that in our little ceremony before we sleep. Oh, maybe we can't. Oh, okay. Well, we don't then. We think about it, but it doesn't happen, so just kind of leave it. And we just go back to the way it was. But yeah, we thought about it, and for whatever reason, just couldn't get it to work. And probably thinking that our head's just all over the place. Like this thing that we started, that we thought was going to be the one big thing that we did in our lives, is now, just as it's beginning to form, is potentially falling apart. And we don't know what to do, and we thought that maybe using that lore would work, but apparently not. So, gotta think on other things. And we stay up through the night, drinking. Even though we know we've got stuff to do for work tomorrow, but we still do it. Somehow, we convince our job to promote us back to the position we were in before. But we're not sleeping at night. We're taking a full bottle of wine into a room with us, drinking it, passing out but not really resting just before dawn, and having to get up again after maybe 45 minutes of being unconscious, not really sleeping. But when we're unconscious, we had another dream, the sun and splendor, the hour that once ruled the manses, was known to walk in the orchard before his terrible division. Sometimes his remnants walk here still. Sometimes I see the chilly radiance of the meniscape through the trees, or the chillier radiance the sun rags. Were they to come upon me, might be my end, but to see them in the distance is a gift of insight. So yeah, we're not too sure how much... Not too sure how much more we can take of what's going on. But we feel like we don't really have that much control either. And we've got, as I said, we've got this kernel of an idea to somehow get these guys to work together and pull things back on the brink, but it's just an idea now. But we keep on working, keep on having our dreams. Keep on studying. But we know something's got to give. And what gives us our body? Sick again. And it's not just a hangover. Stuck in our bed. We've been to work. And we told them, listen, those accounts you need doing, we'll do them, but we're going to have to take them home because we're not feeling all that well. But we don't have the skill for that, do we? Rarefied mind. So we need to increase that somehow. So we're gonna have to leave that for the minute. Yeah, we don't have access to it. Interesting. Yeah, so we thought we were making progress with the lore. But everything that's happening to us piles up again, and maybe we end up, we've got trying to work from our office but also study the lore at the same time and get the two mixed up now and again, and we were trying to figure something out with the lore and realized that we've actually been staring at a ledger instead of the lore itself for the last 2 hours. And then Neville comes in. And generally, he doesn't say much, but comes over, sits down. He's made us a cup of herbal tea, which we take. And he just quietly says to us, you should get some rest. And that's what we decide to do. We're going to take to our bed and get some rest. Okay, we read that one a few times, so we'll leave that. But yeah, we're going to take that rest. So we have to get our desire then before we go up above this level. It's going to be interesting. Gonna lose that as well. Unless those use glimmerings. I don't think they do though. No, erudition. Detective comes sniffing around again. wondering why we haven't been seen for a little while. We get informed that apparently we're not feeling all that well. Feeling a little bit under the weather. You'll pop over there because you're going to go pretty much instantly. And while we're there, we decide, listen, let's use this Greek that we've learned. Take our minds off everything else. Give ourselves a different task that isn't work related, and although it's loosely connected to the cult, it's not directly connected to it. We're feeling better. First thing we do, head into the office. And we just put it down and tell them, listen, been working my ass off. And I don't think the way it was treated when I was sick was fair. And I think I should give my job back. They agree reluctantly, but they still try out the line about us being apologetic. But that doesn't fly with us. We know what you bring to this job. And we say, listen, we're not doing a junior position. You give us our old job back. Same pay. Maybe we're beginning to feel a little renewed. Still not sure where things are going to go or how things are going to work out with the inner circle and all of the politics and little camps are going on between them, but for now that doesn't matter so much. We're going to look after ourselves, sort ourselves out. We decide to sit down with a nice book. We read Reese's A True and Complete Accounting of the Acepalian Mysteries of the Roots of the House. This is very obviously not an antique book text. At the very least, it has been badly mutilated, but it contains substantial intriguing material, especially persuasive comparison of the many-portaled house without walls to the human body. And yeah, we sit down and we have a read of that. And I think that's pretty much, we're going to wait for the book to finish, but it's pretty much where we're going to leave our little story for today. We're hoping that we've come through our bad patch, but it's going to take time to work out if that is so. Book is done. We're going to finish the book and then we shall end. The direction of death is down, the book explains. The peacock door has been considered a rent or an abrasion, but in some respects is more like a mouth, if not a more treasured point of entry. Discussions of the doors include a rite which may conjure creatures through those doors, although key incantations are missing. right at the map's edge. Words that what? Again, we get some art lore. We get a rite. The rite speaks of the vagabond is the only hour that never enters the mantis. This rite must be performed in the right place, in the right time. And the vagabond will take that rightness for her own. There's something you think about. File it away. But the fact that we have heart again, and we know that it's what Clovette kind of craves. We think on things again, whether Clovette was right, and maybe soon we need to bring in someone that will bolster their fragile little group and help them to stand against, first of all, Rhaenyra's trio, but also from Rose as well. But that is where we're going to leave it for today. So I hope you have enjoyed. Hope you're keeping safer there, and hope to see you next time. Goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button there on the right, or checking out some other videos here on the left, or perhaps you might even share with some friends.